Hey there, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of That Nerdy Site Show, weekly podcast where the team members from That Nerdy Site get together to talk about our lives and all of the nerdy things we love about them. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and joining me as always, Cameron Abbott. How you doing, Cameron?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on is today we are going to be talking Lies of P Overture, which shadow dropped, God, what was that, yesterday, 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
Friday. And then initial Switch 2 impressions / Mario Kart World impressions, which if you're watching the video version is on my Switch 2 behind me. It'll probably go to sleep at some point during the podcast, but pick that up, and we've been playing some Mario Kart to celebrate the launch this weekend. There's also most likely going to be our finale episode, save we might bring it back for a game of the year, come end of the year, movie of the year, that kind of stuff, if we're feeling up for it. But yeah, this will probably be the last of the normal That Nerdy Site Show episodes. We just wrapped up that D Plus show this last weekend with our Doctor Who season 2 thoughts. So as we kind of wind everything down here, obviously things will still be live for a while, foreseeable future, and nothing's going to be going away necessarily. We're just not going to be adding new stuff into the podcast feeds. So but we got a fun one to send off here. If you like what you hear, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with friends, all that fun stuff. As I said in the That D Plus show, if you subscribe, you're not going to get new notifications, but you'll get, the backlog of all of our old episodes and all that stuff. With that all out of the way, Cameron, we joked about this a little bit because we were both watching the Summer Game Fest episode, or the Summer Game Fest presentation separately of one another. And as soon as the Lies of P Overture thing dropped and was out today, I heard you scream of joy, and you did not hear me in turn, probably because you were watching with your headphones, and I realized I can be standing right there at the door and you don't hear me. It makes sense that you did not hear me just laugh uproariously at your response from 2 rooms away.
Yep.
But yeah, you immediately picked that up and have spent a good chunk of your weekend playing through some Lies of P Overture, after also you recently just replayed through the base game anyway. So what are your thoughts on the DLC here?
Sure. Yeah. So for context,
you have the platinum on
I don't have platinum because I never played it on PlayStation. I played it on Game Pass.
Right.
It's no longer on Game Pass, and realizing that, and also the fact that I've recently divested myself of Game Pass after I found out that it's part of the boycott, divest, separate movement. I was not aware of that, even though looking back on it, I really should have been aware of that because a lot of people that we know have been talking about it. I missed that. Sorry, folks. But anyway, even on the non-political end, it's cool. I'm getting myself an extra $20 every month back into my pocket. And also, Lies of P is no longer on Game Pass anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to I figured out a way. I went through some back channels on the internet to find to get myself a discounted Steam code.
A code for it, a promo code kind of thing.
I found an old promo that was still active, and I picked it up for about $20. It is also, and also I'd sold some stuff on the Steam Marketplace, so that basically paid for it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep.
Was that those the stupid cards or whatever?
There's the cards are part of it, but mostly it's actually items from things like Counter-Strike.
Oh,
and Team Fortress 2 and PUBG and stuff like that. Cosmetic items that you can sell in the marketplace for just Steam cash.
Whatever.
Yeah. I made some money off of it and put that directly into Lies of P. So, given
the number of Lego I have lying around here that are just in boxes as investments, I'm certainly no one to judge.
That's right. When it comes to Lies of P, so I was hey, I don't have a save ready to go for it. So, just end of this past week, or beginning of last Monday, I beat the game again for the 4th time, or 3rd time. I beat it twice when it came out on Game Pass, and I did a new game and New Game Plus run back to back. I played a lot of it, and so getting back into it, I was I love this game. For people who don't know, it was tied for my 3rd and 4th place of last year. Sorry, not last year, the year before. So 2023. It was tied with Armored Core 6.
Which is not how we do our top 10s, but sure.
Well, they took up the third and fourth slot, and I put them together because I couldn't decide which one to put over. So they shared those two slots. I love Lies of P. In fact, with Overture, I actually think it's a better package now than Armored Core 6. Like if I were to do it with the DLC, I would definitely put that as like my number 3, if not number 2 game of the year, because it might even beat out Tears of the Kingdom. Just an absolutely phenomenal game. And my time with Overture, the setup for Overture is, it is essentially a prequel. You are playing your same Pinocchio, but rather than playing new events that have happened after you beat the game or wherever you're at in the game, you have to get, I think, for you don't know any of this, but for folks out there that do, you have to get to the Malum district, at least the first Stargazer site, to get access to the DLC. So you can at that point you can get access to the DLC whenever. I did it from a post game point where I was definitely strong, like really strong at the beginning. I was not having issues that I saw people in their gameplay. So press went out to LA for a press event where they got an exclusive look at it. A lot of that gameplay has since come out. I've watched a number of people's gameplay of it, and based on the kind of level that they were at, there's some struggle busing that some folks were having with it. Also, fresh people coming in fresh, probably not recently playing the game as well. Definitely was probably a big impact for their gameplay, but I was not having as difficult a time as them, likely because I'm over leveled.
So yeah, I was gonna say that basically what it sounds like is the DLC doesn't scale to your level. It's built for, hey, once you unlock this, you can do this. You might be a little underleveled, but you can do it, kind of thing. You having beaten the game are overleveled for it.
I'm overleveled for like the post game, because I've played enough of the base Lies of P to know like the quickest ways to like boost your level as quickly as possible.
Sure. For the record, you had Lies of P as your number 4 game, and you had Armored Core over it in 2023.
I did? Okay.
I mean, it is in that 3 and 4 slot you're talking about, but yes, Armored Core was recorded as your number 3 and Lies of P was as your number 4.
Well, I would actually flip it at this point.
Yeah.
Overture is fantastic. It is, not only is it more Lies of P, it is bringing in, like, they're bringing in enemy types from the base game, but they've now introduced like new variations of it. You're not familiar with any of the enemies, there's puppets in it, but that's it. There are new puppet types. There are new carcass types. There are like the types of creatures that you fight are varied in a great way. Carcass are basically like revived and undead people or creatures like dogs and stuff. The first place you go is the Kart Zoo, so you're immediately dealing with carcass like orangutans and elephants and all sorts of like these creatures like that are like monkeys that are now like festering bubbles that are like throwing like acid at you. It's really cool. The new enemy designs are awesome. They're deeply inspired by like a zoological profile of looking at it, and because it's taking place in like a Belle Epoque version of like a France, like a Paris, you get like the zoo that you go to is heavily like colonial savannah, like Africa exploitation themed, of like these creatures and animals being taken from their natural environments and brought to a land. Like these are clearly not meant for like winter, like these are savannah, like desert, or like not desert, but like plains where like it doesn't snow, but it snows in Krat. And so there is a like, it's very plain that it's like a very much late 1800s, early 1900s era of like menageries and zoos and things like that. So, but yeah, it's awesome. That's just the first area that they've shown in a lot of stuff. But I was actually at this point, I believe I'm on the 5th or 6th level at this point of like the 5th or 6th area. So it is a meaty DLC. I have put in about 11 hours into the DLC at this point, and I think I'm towards the end, but I'm not at the very end just yet. I think I'm in the last area. Granted, I've thought I've been in the last area twice already, only to then have a new area pop up. It's also very interesting because it gives some insight into. I told you, but like, there's always been somewhat of a how long the puppet frenzy between when it started and when it kind of like caused the collapse of Kart was kind of like a gray area, and but from that have come a lot of like legendary figures that they talk about in passing. Those people showing up because it's a prequel is awesome. You get to see some stuff that was kind of like flavor text before play out in front of you in a really cool and insidious and like neat way of, these characters and like the tragedies that befall them, and also kind of cementing and filling in the kind of gaps of Carlo, the like Pinocchio's life and things like that are out there. It's really, really cool. It's deeply compelling. The characters are awesome. You finally get to meet the legendary stalker that was teased in the base game, in a very unique flashback that has, for people who don't know, the legendary stalker Leia is the original owner of Gemini before you received Gemini. And it's very, very cool. I honestly, I love my time with it. I'm playing it on a post game. I'm looking forward to when I do a new game plus in the next, few weeks, a month or two, when I plan on doing it. I'm going to play up to the Malum district where I mentioned earlier, and then do the DLC from there, and then come back to the base game and kind of see where that plays out. Like how that, I feel like I'm interested in knowing, because at this point I'm in the post game, so I've done everything. All the bosses and people I've faced are over, but I'm now curious, how does that frame the story of the last, 2/3 of the game if you do this DLC before then? I'm very fascinated by that idea, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So there's as somebody who is, does media analysis out of passion now rather than work, it is something that I am deeply fascinated in finding out, how I personally view the story, because I love the story of Lies of P. Lies of P has, for any Souls game, it's definitely the most accessible story, like Souls-like game out there. It's the most accessible. It has the most, actual story being told in front of you that you're going through. It's one of the reasons why it's so loved, is because the narrative is such a strong, it's such a strong overarching thing that explains you're just doing, like in other Souls games, you're just doing the thing to do it. Or you're doing the thing to go to the next area to get over to the next area. Lies of P has a thorough narrative that takes you from the beginning of the game to the very end of it, and there's a compelling reason why you are doing the things you're doing.
Yeah, you mentioned yesterday, or sometime when we were talking about it, that in the time since release, they'd added some difficulty settings to either do kind of more of a story mode if you do want to just kind of enjoy the story and you don't want the difficulty of Souls-like in the combat stuff, as well as a mode that is more in line with like your Devil May Cry action, hack and slashers and stuff like that.
It's definitely, there's like a story mode that's not super heavy combat focused. There's a action like mode that is a bit like a lot more forgiving. Mm-hmm. And then there's what's called Legendary Stalker mode, which is just how the base game was.
Yeah. I say that to say that's the best selling point to get someone like me into
absolutely.
That kind of game. And so it's not one I'm particularly interested in picking up just outright. But if it comes to PS Plus or something in the the remainder of the year, maybe I'll jump in, check it out, and see what it's like. But
also, I want to say I'm picking up so many different so there's the boss weapons that come from boss souls that you get. Ergo is what it's called in Lies of P. The boss ergo that you get gets you like legendary weapons, or you can trade them in for a accessory. So it's like either you want the weapon or the accessory, and the accessories are all awesome. And so that's the benefit of New Game Plus, is you can go back through, beat the bosses through the New Game Plus.
Get whichever you didn't get before.
Exactly. That's the same thing that's happening here with these bosses, but on top of that also, you're getting a lot of the features of Lies of P is after you get to a certain point in the game, early game, after your second or third area, you unlock the ability to customize your, the regular weapons that you find. And so you have the weapon part and the handle part, and you can mix and match them. And there were already dozens of weapons already. I'm amazed by how many that they've added for the DLC. I expected maybe 4 or 5, I've already got like 7 or 8 of them.
Does spoilers for Base Lies of P for those that don't know, because you're playing this in like an original game run, not a new game plus run, does it still have the same kind of thing where like the monsters you are speaking in a gibberish language that you can't understand? Or
So the only bosses and monsters that speak in gibberish are puppet monsters that are part. There's a reason why they're talking to you. That they do not do that in the bosses that I've been fighting. Don't do that because they're not part of that storyline.
Gotcha.
The messages that you're seeing that come out as gibberish to you in the base game are part of an overarching story that you get an answer to at the very end of the base game, and then when you go through as a new game plus, you get to see what they were saying.
Yeah. So the leading question for you here then is there anything maybe equivalent to that, or does anything feel equivalent to that in this that you'll get like a new appreciation for on a new game plus playthrough of this DLC?
Yes, because I found out information about some of the bosses since then that are like, there's a lot more about those bosses than I thought there were. So it's different, but in the same kind of vein and idea. Like one of the bosses you fight is a puppeteer, and they're using a puppet with like live strings to fight alongside them. And basically, you're fighting 2 bosses at once. It's your Godskin duo type boss fight. A little bit of an Elden Ring reference there. But part of that is then finding out later more information about that puppet and about that person and like their relationship with the legendary stalker and other things like that in the like after I've beaten them. I'm definitely wanting to go back and face that boss again so that I can kind of like pick up on like the subtle hints and notes that are inferring that are then just like blowing my mind after I learn about them afterwards. So a different cause and effect, but the same idea of getting a better understanding and a nicer reward of doing that fight a second time. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Gotcha.
Also, boss variety is once again just they are on another level. Like, it's crazy because I look at things like Elden Ring and even Elden Ring Night Rain, people are playing through it, and like the new bosses in Night Rain that they're showing off it's just like, man, this is really cool. Like, I honestly think NeoWiz is probably up there, and Studio 8 are probably up there with, I think they're just under Soul, like this, like From Software, when it comes to like boss designs. They're insane.
Round 8 Studio.
Sorry, Round 8. What did I say?
Studio 8.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Round 8 Studios. And NeoWiz, like they're like the design of the bosses and the creatures and everything. It's like it's so far above all the other Souls likes out there. It's crazy.
I mean, I gotta believe that is a thing. If you are in the thick of it, you can say that. Yeah. I watched you do half of a fight yesterday, and I said to you when you died, "Oh, it's another guy who pulled a sword out of his back," because that's what I saw from from across the room, the monitor. At least that's what it looked like to me, and it
looked like that to me, yeah. But
it looked like every other Soulsborne boss, grotesque creature. Like I'm at a point, especially after all of the Souls likes that were in the last week of State of Play or the Summer Game Fest stuff or the Xbox showcase. It's like I'm so weary of these, especially as somebody who doesn't play them, because they just all look the same. And I know in the years that since, like 1 out of 10 of them hit and actually like make waves and like impress somebody like you. A whole bunch of them just fall by the wayside, but it's like so many resources are going into those things, and it's just it's like they all look the same as kind of Greg pointed out or joked about in their what was that Summer Game Fest reactions, like, oh great, it's another Bloodborne Gothic Souls-like esque design thing.
Here's the thing, it's like Yeah.
I will fully appreciate that Lies of P at least has the whole theming of Pinocchio, and it is like dark horror Pinocchio behind it, so they can lean into that and lean into aesthetic choices and design elements around that. But like, even, I mean, we we talked about Clair Obscur a couple weeks ago, and like how much we love that game. And even in that game, it's like, a monster like the Lamplighter, half the monsters in there feel like they would have been, easily at home in a Souls-like or an Elden Ring or whatever. It's just like, yeah, it's just these all have like the same design tropes of, hey, it's got like 3 or 4 too many limbs and and twisted body parts and body horror stuff, and it's like it's.
I think I get what you're saying, because there is a.
Everything dark and drippy,
dark and drippy. Yeah, that's pretty much what the aesthetic is in a lot of these games.
It's like it's the rare the monsters that I feel like actually stand out to me as somebody who doesn't play these games are the ones that break away from that as the mold, like the ape from Sekiro, or like the gold monsters in one of the Dark Souls, like the gold pairing.
The knights in Dark Souls 1.
Yeah. Like there are elements like that I'm like, oh, like those are the things that stand out because they are apart from the 99% of everything else that is just
you watched
gruesome
me
and
fight
gross.
The most like generalized generic carcass bosses generally are that way. It was a carcass for people out there. It was a carcass boss. Lore wise, it's a very cool fight. And like a lot of the moves that were going on there and like the challenge of that fight was there as well. But like I put fire on my weapon and I'm just going to town on it. And I'm definitely stronger than I need to be for this fight. So the first one was just learning its moves and I died towards the end of that fight. Go back in that second time, absolutely body that fight, no problem. That boss is the least unique boss that I faced in the DLC. It's also up there with like being very different but similar to the other carcass bosses. The other carcass bosses are big giant carcass boss. Other carcass bosses are like human sized and are they mechanically play different. Lies of P really likes to play with creature size and how when you're first approaching a creature, like a big creature boss or big creature enemy, they're intimidating. But after you get their moveset down, they are some of the easier bosses to take out. It's just about learning their pattern and handling it. Human-sized bosses are... Your general approach to them is like, okay, I'm going to wipe this thing out. And then they pull out some like really cool movesets. One of the bosses literally like starts the fight off just sword and boarding your ass. Like sword and shield and just rocking your world if you're not up for that, like the task on that one. One of the harder bosses in the base game. Lies of P definitely takes a more nuanced approach to their enemy combat, but unfortunately a boss like the one you saw me fight definitely falls into that like generalized Dark Souls, like Soulsborne-esque boss, like generic boss for sure. Mm-hmm. The reason why you thought it did is because its arm was out of frame. Holding it was like a giant like rod, like not really sword, like a giant like metal arrow basically. And it was using, or a fire poker, probably more likely is the apt description of it. And it came into frame and you were seeing it come into frame because the thing was so large. It was like just a good portion of its body was like out of frame.
Sure. Whatever.
So, but I mean, for you, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's me across the room watching like your gameplay on the screen and just being like, yeah, that looks like, I know because I know he's playing Lies of P. I know it's a Lies of P boss, but it didn't look like anything that I wouldn't have seen in Bloodborne or Elden Ring or Dark Souls.
No, it definitely fits within that aesthetic.
Yeah.
The other like the puppet bosses and the human bosses, I think, are where that it definitely like separate, or the like human sized carcass bosses are where it separates itself out. But like the large giant bosses definitely fall into that kind of like design trope of a Souls game, for sure. But overall, like if you enjoy it, like this is the creme de la creme. Like this is the good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a reason why like people like Andy Cortez and I and like Most Critical and other people out there who love these games, the moment Lies of P Overture drops, it's like cool, dropping everything else so we can play this DLC. It is just it's the best, and I love it. So
Cool. All right. Well, the other thing, as we touched on, that we have today is Mario Kart World / kind of the early Switch 2 impressions. As we touched on, I will also freely cop to the fact that when the Switch 2 April 8th like direct happened and was like, hey, here's the announcement, here's everything, and also it's a $450 price point or whatever. I fully at that point was like, there's no reason for me to buy this. It's blah blah blah, and I crapped on like there's not much to it. It's another Switch, and cool that it has a new Mario Kart, but everything else on I barely play my regular Switch as it is, kind of thing. And then, Trump decided to go fucking nuts with tariffs and economy and whatnot. So I was like, well, my money's never going to be in a better position. So if I have the money now, I might as well buy the Switch now. So I picked up the Switch 2 and, of course, Mario Kart Worlds to go with it. I've also played a little bit of, I picked up the Hitman Signature Edition. Was playing a little bit of that today on the Switch too. But Mario Kart World's obviously the biggest thing that we've been playing with this, and it's been fun to throw it out on the dock out on, in the living room and play it on the big TV with you. I've played through kind of all the Grand Prix stuff myself. I've played through all the Knockout Tour levels myself. But then Cameron and I have played a handful of Grand Prix and Knockout Tours. We did a couple battle mode kind of things too. It's more Mario Kart. The premise or it fails to live up to the promise of the open worldness of it. It is a Nintendo open world in that it is wildly empty. Very cool designs, very cool theming, but a whole lot of nothing in between. Even with like the P blocks and the extra little things you can like find, I've run across like a few nabbits and stuff like that where it's like, oh, I can chase him down and get some coins or something like that.
I think, and maybe it should be, so the open world, that's one thing. I will say
you've not done the free roam stuff.
I have not done any of the free roam stuff. You've been playing that yourself. I will say from the perspective of somebody who is doing the couch co-op with you, Mario Kart World slaps, but it slaps because, one, I haven't played Mario Kart in a long time, and two, it's new Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And new Mario Kart is fun. It's the formula that you expect. It has some of, I think, the, it definitely has the most interesting tracks a Mario Kart game has had in a long time. And I think, when it comes to the base game, the base Mario Kartness, knockout mode is like a breath of fresh air. You're just doing that entire Grand Prix, moving from area to area, and you are going through that entire thing and until you get knocked out or you finish the race. It's unique. It's a breath of fresh air on that. Battle mode, the battle mode that we played the other night was a blast playing that. And the fact that it's such a massive amount of people that could be playing at any one time makes it ideal for if you and your online friends are sick and tired of doing racing, do a battle mode and make it something really fun.
Yeah, the 24 player-ness of this game, I think, will be its big legacy long term thing. Whereas I think all the other kind of gimmicky things about it are already wearing out for some people, myself included a little bit. You mentioned so we've got the knockout mode where it is, okay, you're going to go through 6 phases of a race, and each phase you knock out the bottom 4 people in the race. So you start with 24, and basically you're all racing to one destination, and only the first 20 people to that destination will move on. Everybody else gets knocked out, and then so on and so forth, 16, 12, 8, 4, and then obviously the final 4 kind of duke it out. It's fun and novel enough as each of those is it's just one long race. It's very chaotic at the beginning, and then as all of those, especially in our situation, AI, computer opponents get knocked out, it becomes way quieter in the back half of it because there's way fewer blue shells coming your way,
Mhm.
and all sorts of stuff like that. Way fewer lightning bolts, hitting you. So by the time it is just like the final four, if you've got like enough of a lead, it's like a cakewalk and nothing comes your way, because I don't think they really give a ton of blue shells to fourth place.
Yeah, I think
So
that you could definitely. I like maybe that fourth mode, like when you're down to four people, it could be a bit more cutthroat when
mhm.
it comes to item giving out. Like they can definitely adjust it. I feel
Yeah,
they probably won't because it's Nintendo, but
I think
and
the
also that's on 50cc. Who's to say what it's at like 100
yeah,
or
100.
150?
I've played a little bit of the 100. I'm really jumped into 150cc yet, but it like 150. I mean, 100 and 150cc are things are faster, and the AI, the computer racers are better, and it's
Yeah.
like more balanced in their favor versus yours, kind of thing. The thing I'll say, so like Knockout Tour, it's like an interesting mode, but it's also there isn't variety really to it beyond like if it was a kind of like, oh, it's gonna randomly mix and match your
Mm,
path,
yeah.
that'd be, I think, more compelling than what this is like it's basically there's 6 cups or whatever to this too, just like there are Grand Prix. So it's like, okay, if you do this cup, this is the path you take, and you just you go down that path, um and so it's just a matter of like, okay, figure out what the shortcuts are in those paths, or learn that track and whatnot, and you'll be good to go. Grand Prix, I think, unfortunately, does too much of the same thing.
Mhm.
It's not worried about knocking you out, but it is, because they're like fully leading into the world aspect of this. It is, you do the first race, and it's like a normal race. You go around the track however many times, and then every race after that, the first half of the race is going from the first track to the next track. And
Yeah.
that's part of the laps of that second, third, fourth race. So it's not like, so you start in, the Mario circuit or whatever, and then you go to this next place, and it's like, okay, lap one is just getting to that next track.
Yeah.
And it might even be lap one and two are crossing the overworld, which is largely just like highways and stuff like that,
Yeah.
to get to the next themed track. And then you only really spend like 1 or 2 laps in that themed track. And so I think that um, it's fun for the novelty of like the first time playing it, as you touched on, and as certainly we've experienced. But go like it hurts replayability to me, because I'm like, I want to play the actually like interestingly designed course. I don't want to play the path to that course kind of
That's fair.
thing. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that they're playing with. That said, like, yeah, some of the tracks are incredibly fun. The standouts for me, and I think for you as well, have been like the end of the mushroom cup, of
Yeah.
like the DK girder thing that we're climbing up, that's fully themed off of the original Donkey Kong. I think the second Grand Prix ends with the like the Bowser's ship
Yeah.
sequence that is very much like evoking end of Mario 3. And then Rainbow Road, obviously, this is by most, if not all accounts, like a new standout landmark version of Rainbow Road.
It's my favorite
Um,
Rainbow Road for sure. Out
yeah,
of all of them. Granted, I also am a certified hater of Rainbow Road. This is the one I hate the least.
sure.
And mainly it's just because it's so goddamn beautiful. Like,
I will say, to the game's credit, and to kind of as a counteract, or to counteract to the point I was just making about the Grand Prix thing, um, the if you jump in and just do like Rainbow Road as like a standalone versus thing, you do like 4 laps, and it's not laps around Rainbow Road. It's Rainbow Road is broken out into 4 segments that are each counted as laps, but you're basically going around the track once. The fun thing that the Grand Prix adds is that first lap of a 5 lap race that is like getting to and getting up to Rainbow Road, which is like, it does, I think, add to the like, to heighten the
mhm.
Rainbow Roadness of it. It is like this cool trek and journey to
To getting
get
into it,
there.
yeah.
And then you go up, you get shot up into space and whatnot. And it's all very visually stunning. But like, there is a fun, like, path to that one that is different than, okay, I'm just going down the freeway, to this. Like a lot of it's like, oh, you're, racing along the water to get up to the bridge, to get up to river.
The fact that you go over that long length of water right before you go on that last leap to then launch yourself into Rainbow Road, into outer space, it's just such a cool experience.
Yeah. Like Bowser's Castle is a lot of fun. Like the each of the Grand Prix kind of has like, it's almost like the fourth race is like a boss race kind of thing. And there is a lot of fun to be had in those races. I just am. I think I would prefer a mode, and maybe this will eventually be like a new mode introduced via DLC or something that is just the classic. Here's the track, you go around it. Now here's race 2. You're starting at the track, because it's like every race you start in Medea Res. You start already racing. You start already moving when Lakitu's counting down the traffic light kind of thing, versus like just starting at a starting line. And so I would prefer, I think, a little bit of that old style of things. But I mean, beyond that, also like Nintendo they got to hire better UI designers, I think, because I fail to understand why the character select screen is as many screens as it is when it's largely just, hey, here's different costumes for your main characters. It's like, no, select your character, then select the costume that you want to give them. That's what anybody else would have thought to do. It almost feels like they're just trying to bloat it. Like they're trying to show, look how many screens it is, when it's really like, okay, no, you've got like 20, 25, 30 racers or whatever. You don't get to count the 9 alternate costumes from Mario as 9 extra racers. And the same for Luigi and Wario and Waluigi. And even, I know your main being King Boo, who we unlocked, and then you immediately found
the aristocrat.
One of the very fun costumes there, the aristocrat Boo. So you're wearing a top hat and a monocle, and you got a mustache and whatnot. I was jumping in, playing through it again earlier today, and I'm like, I like the absurdity of like the biker Wario and Waluigi kind of thing, or there's like a wasp Waluigi or Wario that's like, he's got like wasp wings to him kind of thing.
It's very much like a bee outfit for him.
Yeah, it's like these are weird. And then there are just also odd characters like the cow, which has won everybody's hearts and minds, or the dolphin, and you can ride the dolphin on the dolphin cart if you unlock both of them, which is just weird. And so there's certainly fun variety to be had. I'm surprised, and I guess I'm surprised, but also fully expect them to just DLC the shit out of this game, in that like we will get other characters introduced. We will it's weird that this doesn't have Link after so much, after we've spent the last 10 years with Link in Mario Kart 8. Or 8 Deluxe.
It is weird not seeing that like long-standing DLC characters that we've kind of associated with just being base characters, right?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see like when they start, folding DLC stuff in, and in terms of how they start folding in stuff. If they want to do new tracks in this world, are they going to just plop them down in like open spaces of the map, or are they going to create extra islands that you go to, or like, it'll be curious to see what they end up doing with that kind of stuff too. But I think there's like plenty of opportunity for this Mario Kart to grow.
Oh, for sure,
certainly.
Yeah. And the fact that Nintendo's no longer afraid to get into DLC, they just make sure that DLC is meaty and worth it.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously, like for the sickos that love that kind of stuff, I'm sure 200cc will eventually make its way into the game. There are a couple other like new interesting things, like you can jump now. If you're not like drifting, you can basically use the same kind of drift mechanic to just do a jump on a straightaway, which does work to avoid a banana or a green shell or a red shell or something like that. And there's the grinding thing. I haven't played around. They showed off, and it's in there. I've done it. but there aren't a lot of great opportunities to do like the wall riding that they showed off in the in some of the original like direct stuff, and even the like the option to rewind time, a la your Forzas and your other racing games like that. There just tends to not really be a good use case for that because you rewind, but everybody else keeps moving forward and stuff like that. In Forza, if I rewind and I'm playing single player mode, the whole race rewinds too.
Yeah.
So it's weird that it doesn't in this case, and it is just me rewinding time. Even in like some of the like doing some of the free roam like P block challenges and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I missed the thing. Let me rewind time. Oh, well now I'm just not going to do it because the timer of this thing kept going, and so I'm going to run out of time anyway. So I might as well just restart the challenge as it is. Also, like, I think that's another element of why the world seems so empty. Is even the P block challenges are unlocking stickers, and that's it. And it's like those stickers don't do anything. They're just collectibles in your, which worked for a ton of people for Smash Ultimate too. But it's just like there's no real reward to the open world stuff apart from getting lunches and unlocking new meals, and even those are very randomized. So it's like you can't just be like, I want to get this Mario costume and unlock it. It's just luck of the draw, and you just gotta eat a bajillion lunches to try and do it. So yeah, I definitely have my gripes with it. I think like having played the all the Grand Prix stuff and having played the Knockout Tour, I'd give it probably an 8.
I was gonna say from my experience, and this is my couch co-op experience, I'd say it's a 7.5 to an 8, like for sure. I think that
I'm giving it, I'm bumping it up to an 8 because it has been fun to play couch co-op, which I did almost none of with the last Mario Kart.
And that's why I'm saying like your score is reflective of your whole experience. As somebody who's just like the friend, who's coming and playing it sometimes, it's like in that same range for me as well. I think that 7.5 to that 8 range is like it's the best Mario Kart we've gotten in a long time. I'd say it's might be the best one we've gotten since Double Dash. Yeah, like that's my personal feelings on it. I think it ranks up there for sure.
There given like playing 50 and 100cc, it's not like I'm often at the back of the pack just yet, so I haven't been getting like to play around with a ton of the new items that are in there. There are some fun ones. Like I love when the other people behind me throw out the gold shell because I can then just like clean up on coins as it basically just avoid the middle of the track because that's the path it follows, and then immediately follow them and let it explode and pick up as many coins as you can on the way.
Also, the new items they have really fun.
Yeah.
The gold shell is a great example. I'd say the hammers. I don't know if that's been in any previous one that I'm aware of.
Nope, I think it's
the hammers that you can either throw direct line in front of you or direct line behind you.
And they sit there. Yep. So it's not just like you can kind of create a blockade for somebody in front of you kind of thing. Yeah.
If you angle it right, like they're coming, you see they're about to drift, throw it down, they run into it. Awesome. Like it's just really, really cool strategic stuff that you can do. How the ways to avoid blue shells are cool.
I do appreciate one of the, again, like, while I'm mostly negative on the like traveling to the next race, there is a fun element of the roads are busy with cars, and a lot of those cars have hammer bros that are throwing boomerangs or throwing fire or throwing things at you. So there are like obstacles in the road that are affecting you and all the other players and stuff like that. And I appreciate that adds like an interesting extra dynamic. And then, the last few games I think have had, cars where it's like, oh, there's a surfboard in the back, so you can do like a little ramp if you want to do that.
Oh, there's so many.
This one has like the DK barrels that you can kind of go into and shoot yourself for. That's a fun new element.
Cannons. Yeah. Another one is like the ones with like they have the long, like the big dump truck like it, but it's a ramp, and you get to the top of the ramp, it has a boost on it.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Like really smart changes, really awesome stuff to kind of like give you a lot more variety in your tracks.
And
Also, shout out to hitting a car now does not spin you out completely.
I mean, it can. It can. It can definitely it can definitely hit you. But yeah, if you hit it on the side or something, you'll spin. But I mean, there's in general, I think the game is more forgiving in terms of recovery time.
Yes.
The counter, I would say to that is the blooper ink stays on way longer than I remember it ever staying on in the past.
Also agree with that. When we both got hit by that, it's like, hey, this isn't going away. What's up?
All right. Yeah, it's like you get hit by that on Rainbow Road, you are going to be very careful.
We did. We got hit by it, and both of us slowed down.
Yep.
And we're like, let's be very careful.
Come on. Yeah. So there's a lot of fun like that. Even the like cars will have like coins that are kind of trailing them that you can. It's a risk reward. You can like try and get them, but if you don't dodge out of the way quick enough, you're going to hit that car and spin out a little bit. And or some will drop mushrooms that you can get boosts on the road. Some will drop the food items, so you can kind of pick those up. I also like that. Even if you're doing a racer that doesn't necessarily have alternate costumes, eating the food is basically like a mushroom. It still also gives you a boost. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had in here, and having someone else to play it with certainly helps make it a little bit more fun. It's the kind of thing like, I almost was gonna invite. If John wanted to stick around and play a little bit yesterday, but he'd already kind of talked about that he'd played it. And so yeah, it's the kind of thing like, oh, there's fun potential there for the party game, as it often is, even if that's not how I'm going to spend 99% of my time playing the game is. But yeah, it's like right now I'm enticed to keep playing just to, 3-star each of the 100 cc's now that I've done all the 50 cc stuff, and then, work my way up to 150 cc and give that a shot. But beyond that, there's not, like, I'm never going to be the person that's jumping online to try and challenge our friend Barrett Courtney. And,
Apparently he's not that hot at this one. He's apparently not the hot hand in the office right now.
He's gotten too used to 200 cc and he can't slow it down.
It looks like it, yeah, because apparently Bless is schooling him right now.
But yeah, I mean, point still stands. I'm not going to be the kind of person that just jumps into like a big multiplayer lobby for the game or something like that.
Yeah.
But, for those that are, you can now do it with a bunch of people. And to that, like, the battle mode was a fun thing, especially like throwing it on teams, you and I being on one team with 10 NPCs versus the other team of another 12 kind of thing. And just kind of, I like, even those exist on one of the normal tracks in the world. And so it is just kind of like you're in the open world playing, doing that battle mode kind of thing, and a big giant open arena that's now no longer confined to, a set battle mode arena. It is, okay, here's this course's map, and you can kind of go any which way you want on it, and you're just trying to fight and knock out the balloons or steal the coins of everybody else. I think that's what the other one is. I forget. They don't have the like capture the crown one that 8 Deluxe had, so maybe that's something that'll get added in a future release as well, because clearly they have the crown animation in there. You get the crown anytime you win the race or you're leading the pack and stuff like that. So
yep.
Any other thoughts or final thoughts there on Mario Kart World?
No, I don't have any.
Yeah. In the vein of this all, like preliminary Switch 2 impressions, it's more Switch. It's a bigger, slightly better Switch. I didn't really run into any issues transferring all my stuff over from my Switch 1. It continued to download things that I didn't actually want it or care about it downloading for the next, 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
While we were playing Mario Kart, we just constantly see pop-ups on like, hey, your West of Loathing save data has downloaded. I'm like, I haven't played that game in 5 years, but thanks.
Yep. It didn't cause any problems while playing it,
Yeah.
so it was perfectly able to be used while it was doing those transfers. So
Yeah, I've jumped in a little bit to like a couple of the like Switch Online things just to see those, and those still play just like they did on the Switch One. I've not really gone in to see any of the like Switch One games, running in with their Switch Two upgrades or anything like that. And the only other real game I jumped into, yeah, as I said, was the Hitman. And even that I've only played like the first couple of tutorial missions again. And the one thing that jumped out to me was like I paused during like one of the cutscene kind of things and stepped away and then came back and like basically turned the Switch back on, and the cutscene came back on very choppy, and I was like, well, that's not a great there's the Switch I know.
Yeah.
Um
That's
so,
Nintendo. I'm familiar
yeah.
with this Nintendo.
It definitely has some like quality of life things. Like the new store is a better store, but it's still you are still stuck with the very like linear, I guess is the word for it, the very linear UI of the main screen kind of thing. So if you are like, oh, I want to jump into this other game that I was playing, a couple weeks ago, and you've got a whole bunch of things that have updated or that are on there before, you got to just scroll and keep scrolling to the right. So it's like things like that are weird. I've not played around much with any of like the game card switching or whatever any of that kind of stuff is. And I also don't have nearly enough on the Switch to have needed any of the like. I'm not worried about an SD Express card.
Yeah.
When I was downloading Hitman, I was like, "Oh crap, is this going to be too big?" I don't know. I didn't know the file size of the Hitman game, but it downloaded fine. So I might run up against that kind of stuff, but I'm always going to be much more likely to just delete out things that I haven't played in a while to free up space rather than I just don't have the need for an SD Express, a micro SD Express card or whatever is needed for these ones. So, but also in that vein, like people are like, oh my God, yeah, this is going to be my new default console. I'm like, not mine. 'Cause I don't like even playing Hitman on there. I'm like, if I really want to play Hitman, I'm going to play it on my PS5 with all of the stuff I have unlocked on my PS5 rather than this. Because I'm not looking to play 5 or 6 year old games a little bit better just because I can play them handheld. I don't do enough on the go stuff that like if I traveled a lot, if I commuted a lot or something like that, yeah, then maybe that would make sense. But like people are like, oh my God, Cyberpunk runs so well on this. I'm like, I don't care. I already own Cyberpunk on my PlayStation. Why would I want to buy it again to run still not as good as these other versions?
Yeah,
just in handheld mode.
It really speaks to like addressing this. Like it reminds me, I don't want to sound any alarm bells and be like, hey, this is like the Wii U all over again. But this is like, and here's the thing, I see why Nintendo made this jump and why they're doing this. I get people's excitement over it's the next Switch. I appreciate that that Switch 2 is better branding than Wii U. So there's no confusion about if this is just another Wii or it's the next console, etc.
Yeah.
But I will also say that there's nothing compelling me to put my savings that I have and like taking a chunk out of that to buy a Switch 2.
Yeah, I think this system is very much destined to be a Wii U. I don't think it'll be that much of a fall off from the Wii to the Wii U. But I do not see a world in which the Switch 2 sells as many units as the Switch does.
Yeah.
Because it is too much more of a premium product, whereas like Switch was the alternative. And especially with Nintendo having upped the prices to, $80 for some of their high-end games like Mario Kart World here. I don't think I think they're mistaking their market. Their position in the market thrive with the Switch because of their games, but their games were still the cheaper version of the games compared to Xbox and PlayStation had upped the price, and Nintendo was still selling those games at a lower value until Tears of the Kingdom. And now that they're the first ones to jump to $80, and they're selling a weaker system for pretty much the same price as a PlayStation 5. Yeah, if being portable is that much of a selling point for you, sure.
It also helps that, like, if I really wanted to play something, I'd be like, hey, Trevor, if you're not playing it, can I borrow your Switch?
I mean, yeah, you certainly benefit from that,
Yeah.
of course.
I like, so if you don't have a badass, awesome roommate like Trevor, who picks up cool things, you might be like remiss of like, oh, I'm getting the FOMO, I'm missing out on it. Like, I hear you on that, but also as some like, and here's the thing: if I had $500 just drop on the Switch 2, I might pull the trigger, like for all the reasons that you did. Tariffs are gonna, like, whatever ends up happening, it's gonna be more expensive down the road.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to deal with that. I should just buy it now. If you're in that situation, I think it's a fine purchase to make, and you're also setting yourself up for all the future Nintendo games that are coming out in the next 3 or 4 years.
yeah.
But there's no, like, if you are not in a situation where you can drop that money readily or easily, I would not suggest doing this.
Yeah, I mean, like, so on the horizon, I have Donkey Kong Bonanza, pre-ordered to get that when it comes in. I might, pick up Metroid Prime 4 if it reviews very well. But I've never, even my Metroid Prime Remaster that I picked up on Switch, I might throw that in to play that and try that out and see how that plays on the Switch 2. But yeah, like, Switch 2 is still going to be my Nintendo exclusives game when I want to play something that Nintendo's come out with. Case in point, I could have bought the Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice collection on Switch, but no, I was like, I'm going to put that on PlayStation 5 with the rest of my collection of games.
So you get that platinum from it. Like,
sure, get those trophies, get that stuff that doesn't really matter, but it's like, and even a game like that, it's not like it's going to be, better fidelity or anything like that. I'm sure it will play pretty much the same on Switch versus it plays on PlayStation 5 because it's a remaster of a PlayStation 1 game. But I just like my gaming experience in the same way I don't just buy things on my computer to play here. I'm going to play it in my room on my big screen TV on my PlayStation 5 or on whatever console. And PlayStation 5 just is my default, and that's not changing anytime soon, even for, the Switch 2 here. So, yeah, that's like I'm excited for, hey, cool, now this investment is out of the way. So when, new Fire Emblem comes out, if I want to check out the Fire Emblem, I can play that. Cool. Eventually, the real, bread and butter is going to be the next mainline Super Mario stuff. That's what I'm, excited for. We'll see what they do with Legend of Zelda stuff, I guess, moving forward. But yeah, there's, and it's also, I'll be very curious in the same way that like PlayStation is still selling most of their games as like PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I'll be very curious how many games end up coming out that are PlayStation or Switch 2 exclusives, like some of these other ones. I feel like they're not going to want to walk away from that 140 million or whatever install base on the baseline Switch anytime soon.
No.
So like even, the next Animal Crossing, when we get that, wouldn't be surprised. Like, they're not going to cut ties and run like they did with the Wii U.
True. I agree with you on that front for sure. Also, I think this is
even when, like, if you remember the first couple years of the Switch, it was still a lot of like Wii U and Switch games, or 3DS and Switch games,
because they were trying to save everything they could from the Wii U era.
They didn't know how big the Switch was going to be either.
No.
So it was a case of like hedging their bets. Hey, let's try and get this to people who have already bought our stuff, and let's try and, build up our supply on this new.
I will say a big argument for the Switch 2 is if you have been one of those people where it's like, hey, I want to play these Switch games, but I really want them to run better.
Sure.
This is that answer.
I have Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. Never played them on Switch, but I have, like, because I'm like, well, it's going to just be better in the long run to have like a full collection of Pokemon games if I can than to
as somebody who's tried to buy like the old like the 3D or the like any of the old games on the third party market.
Yeah.
They're expensive as all hell.
Yeah. So yeah, there was the like Costco at some point was doing like a hey, here's like the combo pack for Scarlet and Violet, and I was like, cool, I picked those up. Never intending to play them, but hey, they look pretty good on a Switch too, so maybe I'll open that box and actually jump in and play
Yeah.
my first like new Pokemon game in forever. If for no other reason than to know who some of these Pokemon cards I'm picking up in TCG Pocket are.
No, because those are the ones from Sun and Moon right now.
Yeah, okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
I learned that from my my nieces and nephews.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Like the current packs, or the not the current packs, but the most recent packs, the prior to this current batch, were obviously the Sun and Moon.
Ultra Beast, the Ultra Beast packs that we're currently opening are also from Sun and Moon.
Sure, that makes sense.
So
Anyway,
yep.
yeah.
I know that because I know the giant, muscular, sexy mosquito man is like the premier Ultra Beast.
Buzzswole or something like that.
Buzzswole.
Yeah, I was like, that seems like a very inappropriate name for for a kid's toy. Whatever.
That one was for the parents.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, like Switch 2, it's very much for me a, if you have the discretionary spending, which is very tight for a lot of people right now. The nice thing is they clearly were not anticipating Trump's fucking insanity, so they have good stock. And even after, the pre-order and the day one rush and stuff, Switches are out there in the world. You can still find them in stores and stuff like that. Like we were talking, your brother-in-law John walked into a Target and they still had one on the shelf, and so he picked it up. No pre-order, nothing. So like there's ample opportunity for you to get these if you need them. And I don't think that's a case of like, oh, people didn't show up. I think it's Nintendo. I mean, the rumors for a while have been that Nintendo's had this thing ready for 6 months to a year, but wanted to get enough stock so that they didn't run into the issues that the Switch had of shortages and people want it, but they couldn't buy it for 3-6 months.
And also what they encountered with, like, even after the Switch had already launched, the when they're like, oh cool, we now have more Switches, then the pandemic hit, and then it was like, it's really hard for us to get these Switches from where they're at to where they need to go.
Yeah.
Because they just the trade lines were just like broken for the time being. And so it became like, that was a big time too. It's like everybody was hunting for Switches during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I think them being like, hey, before we put these out, let's make sure we get stuck in there. And I also think the reason why they delayed the pre-orders for North America was so they knew they could definitively get like enough stock in the U.S.
Sure. Yeah.
Tariffs were.
There was definitely a lot of so we have like a video games Slack channel in my work Slack threads and stuff like that, and somebody I work with got their like invite email from Nintendo on launch day, basically being like, hey, you signed up for this, now if you want to buy it through us, we still have availability, we still have stock and stuff like that. I think they, by that point, they had found it somewhere else anyway, but and shout out to as made the rounds last week. My Switch showed up 6 a.m. from Walmart with a thing of barbecue Pringles and a zero sugar orange cream Coke that I had zero interest in trying. But how was it, Cam? How was the zero sugar orange cream Coke?
It was just orange cream, Coke Zero. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was orange cream flavored in Coke Zero, so didn't blow the mind, but it was a nice enough drink. I
mean, orange cream flavored anything is not a flavor I'm particularly keen to.
I'm not too either into it. So. But it's like it did its job. It was orange, it was creamy, and it was fine.
There you go. So yeah, shout outs to that weird little thing that Walmart did. Most likely trying to change the perspective since they'd had to cancel so many like orders last minute and stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, trying to think if there's anything else I want to chat about, but no, I think that's about it. I have noticed just from the first couple games I picked up, seems like Nintendo's completely done away with like the gold rewards points on there.
Oh yeah, those are long gone, right?
Oh, okay. I would still see it at least in like the old cartridges that I would get. And it was very noticeable by its absence on the like game card screens of this, of like, oh, there's nothing, I can't redeem anything for Mario Kart World like I used to be able to do and stuff like that. So yeah, as somebody who just doesn't play enough Nintendo stuff. I guess I'm behind the times on that. But yeah, that's our Mario Kart World and Switch 2 roundup. If you got the money to pick one up, knock yourself out. But it's mostly just going to be another Switch for you. And I mean, to their credit, shout out to everything being pretty much backwards compatible. And
Yep.
I mean, like we're playing. We've been playing with like my Switch 1 Pro controller. I did pick up one of the Switch 2 GameCube Pro controllers kind of thing, but like even that's like it's more for the novelty of anything. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to do it here for our last, for the time being, episode of That Nerdy Site Show. Thank you, Cam, for joining me for so many of these episodes in the past. Here, I forget where we're at on this one. I think somewhere in the 250s. But yeah, it's been a good run. Good 5 years, 5+ years, 5.5 years of podcasting and stuff. But just kind of ready to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I talked to you before we started. It's like I'm really looking forward to just like not having to podcast for at least for a while. Like, and that's the nice thing about it. It's like, and I mentioned this on that D Plus show as well. We're not canceled. We're not we're not pariahs. We're not like in shame. This is not ending because you and I had a blow up and we are like irreconcilable differences or anything like that. It's just we've done this for a long time. This has been a great project, but it's not over. We're ending it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: we can restart it whenever we want. It's really just a matter of like I'm so burnt out on content creation. The year and a half that I spent where content creation was everything I did with That Nerdy Site, as well as what I did professionally as my job, really burnt out a lot of love and passion that I had for this. That it was something that I was like, oh, well, I'll try doing it before I find a job. And then, depression and everything else happening while I was looking for work for 6 months, was pretty brutal. All that being said, like, this is something that I don't know what the future holds for me when it comes to this. But I do know that for the foreseeable future, at least for probably a couple of months, I'm definitely going on this is like a content creation vacation. I'm not doing any content creation for minimum a couple months.
The one thing I think I might rope you in for, and I think you'll be up for it, will be I have a lot of Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy cards coming my way here in a few weeks. In a week, I don't know. Whenever those start arriving.
My dual pack. So I got the dual deck of Sephiroth and Cloud. That's coming June 16th is my delivery date.
So there we go. So we got a lot of that stuff coming soon. So maybe we'll throw together, just for silliness, a unboxing on I don't know what's the terminology that people use for unpacking the cards.
Pack. It's just pack opening. We're just going to be opening some packs. I will say this would also be a fun thing for me to be like, hey, and
I'm not going to have a clue what any of these things mean.
So me kind of being the your Magic the Gathering tutor on helping you be like, this is why this mechanic works this way. It'll be fun. That can be fun.
It'll be Punch Out. You can be Doc and I'll be
Mac.
Lil Mac.
Yeah. 100%.
And be like, I haven't played Magic the Gathering since the 90s. What does this mean? What do these cards do?
Oh, dude, it's so different. But I'm also going to put out there that I'm insanely stoked for Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering.
I fully have zero interest in actually playing Magic the Gathering. I'm just going to look forward to seeing the cool art shit on these cards.
There's a lot of cool art. No, I'm also so the packs, because you also got the four commander.
I got
packs.
the 4 commander decks.
You got so many cards.
I love me some Final Fantasy, and I figure these will have some value to some people as well. So if I ever don't want them anymore, I can give them away or sell them.
I'd be more than happy to take some of those commander decks off your hand.
Sure.
In the future, if you want to. No, what I will say is that outside the commander packs, there's so many cards that are only going to be available through the boosters.
Yeah, so I got the 4 commander decks. I got a box of the booster packs coming.
It's going to be so much fun.
I got
to open.
The starter deck. I got the dual pack thing that you were talking about, I think. So I got I saw them go up, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna basically not buy some Lego stuff right now, and I'm gonna put all the money into these Magic the Gathering things.
Yep,
It worked out in my favor that I got a raise at work after that, because that's certainly going to help pay off all the credit card payments that I've got coming this next month. But so we might do all that to say, like, while the podcasts are certainly going on a extended hiatus, if not kind of wrap up for the foreseeable future, we might throw together, some sort of YouTube thing up on youtube.com/thatnerdysite for Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy unboxing, pack openings, blah blah blah, to see if, like, oh my god, we got a golden chocobo, or some nonsense.
Dude, if we got like one of the series golden chocobos, like limited numbers, that's massive.
Which is also, like, this is really the thing. I'm gonna, like, it would be the same thing, like, if I were opening Pokemon cards on here, where I was like, I wouldn't know what to actually be excited about because if it's not a Black Lotus card, I don't know its rarity.
And those aren't that rare anymore.
The Black Lotus? I mean, I saw our friend Jess posting that she saw one trying to sell for $11,000.
Oh, but that's super low for where it used to be, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 11,000's like lowball for where, like, at its prime, it was worth like $50,000-$60,000.
I don't recall it ever getting that high, but
I could have sworn I saw somebody trying to sell one for like $100K. But
I mean, Logan Paul's an idiot, though.
I don't know if that was him, but
I don't think it was. I think he's more in the Pokemon.
He was in the Pokemon cards. He wore that super rare Charizard on his neck, like dumb whatever. Logan Paul sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, so maybe we'll do some stuff around the Magic the Gathering coming out here.
And who knows? Maybe this is the end of that Nerdy Site show. But if we ever come back and we're like, hey, we want to do a podcast, we could do a totally new podcast, completely different.
Maybe.
Yeah. But no podcast for right now.
Yeah,
for right now, we're good. If you're new, we have so much backlog.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Go check any of our other, topics on game reviews or any of that kind of stuff. So.
If you're like, oh man, I would really like to see these guys play video games, guess what? We have so many Let's Plays.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of that stuff too.
Yep. We have, it's nice.
None of them are particularly good, I would say, but there's a lot.
There's a lot. I think your Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough has a lot of highlights.
Baldur's Gate was a lot of fun. Yeah, playing through that game. I did a lot of Elden Ring stuff. I played through Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on the channel.
Yep.
So yeah, there's definitely plenty of stuff to go back through. We our Split Fiction, the most recent and kind of our send off to the Let's Play stuff. Us playing that. I did a lot of Hitman 3 stuff back when that game came out, early pandemic stuff. So
there's a lot. We certainly have not, like, it's funny. It's like
there's ample stuff to find on the YouTube channel. Absolutely.
If you're like, man, I can't believe they're stopping. Like, look at our library and tell us that we haven't earned a rest at the very least. We've earned a rest.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to do it. You can follow Cameron at revcabot.bsky.social. Anything you want to give a shout out to there, Cam?
Once again, I want to give a massive shout out to the one and only Trevor J. Starkey. Trevor, you continue to be my best friend, my roommate, my compadre, my fellow member of the Odd Couple. We are, it is crazy that we met. The first time we ever met was at a hotel lobby in San Francisco. Many
Kind of Funny Live 1, yeah.
Kind of Funny Live 1, 2015, more than
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
A little over 10 years ago,
yeah. It's crazy that our lives have ended up this way and like gone this way. But I couldn't ask for a better person to be, somebody who took on the heavy load for that Nerdy Site. You carried the banner all this time. Your resilience and your dedication is astounding, and I am infinitely grateful for the opportunity to have been your co-pilot for the majority of that Nerdy Site. Especially since I was the last member to join.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't looking for this kind of thing. Had just burnt out from Naughty Gamer stuff. So,
yep. And I was like, I'll come and help out. And then sure enough, here I am.
Yep.
5.5 years later, in the co-host seat. So
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for being that. You are the greatest of shout outs I could offer.
All right.
And I think as part of my final thing, if you've ever been a fan, you've ever been a co-host, you've ever been any part of that nerdy site, thank you. You've been part of an incredibly awesome project that is up there with some of the best things that I've ever done in my life. So thank you to everybody out there as well. Biggest thanks to Trevor, but thanks to everybody else out there as well. To all of our friends who are here, still with us, and to all of our friends who have passed on. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you. My shout out in turn, I guess, will be for you. At Rev, you can follow me at TrevorJStarkey.bsky.social, but my shout out goes to Rev Cabot. I'm not gonna have nearly as flowery things to say just because that ain't my flavor, but the most immense gratitude to you for being the one to step up and make it so I wasn't just so this didn't end 4 years ago during the pandemic and actually stepping into kind of the regular co-host second person when other people kind of started drifting away from the site and then obviously eventually moving in made it significantly easier for us to just jump in here, but I'm eternally grateful for you always being there to be like, yeah, I don't have to just talk to myself in front of a camera and try and do like a one-man show or whatever. Despite, how little I give a shit about any of your Gundam games or most of your anime or anything like that, I appreciate that you had the passion for them and wanted to talk about them at length and whatnot. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. And hey, the nice thing, and another reason that I, for a while, have not felt I needed a podcast here is because we can just talk about shit, off microphone. We don't need to record it and throw it out there for the world. We can just be like, what are you playing? Oh, I'm playing this. It's really cool. And we can go about our days. So yeah, shout out to Cam. Also, just the briefest shout outs to our send off of Doctor Who season 2 over on That D Plus show. For our final That D Plus show, it was certainly a lengthy one. I think we crossed the 3-hour mark as we talk all of season 2 stuff and our highs and lows of the season, episode by episode, and then just kind of overall general impressions and overall impressions of the Shurigawa Doctor era that has come to an abrupt end with, an unknown future on the horizon for that show. It served as a fitting send-off for Doctor Who as well as us, I thought, on That D Plus show. So you can follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site for at least for the time being. As I said, the thatnerdysite.com is not going anywhere. I'm about to re-up the license for that for another year at least. So, it'll still be out there. You can still find any of our backlog of things from there. And even when that site goes, the website will, or the YouTube, all this stuff will still be on YouTube. These podcast feeds will still be up for another year or so at least. I'll just kind of keep paying the little minimal maintenance fee to keep those going. Even if we're not putting on new stuff. And hey, we might still pop up every now and then. As I said, the most likely scenario for a new podcast on this feed would probably be, Game of the Year stuff, either the end of this year or beginning of next year, maybe Movie of the Year as we've done in years past, depending on, how we're feeling. If we feel like we need to lend our voices to that conversation, or if we can just kind of enjoy the games that we played this year in our serenity. So stay tuned for any of our past content, I guess, really. No potential new future stuff. But if you liked what you heard, as I said, please rate, review, like, subscribe, share all that so you can find it in the algorithms for the historical backlog of things. Thank you as always for listening. As Cameron said, thank you to everybody who has enjoyed the show over the years, listened to the show, participated, anything, any of the above. And just all of our friends in the industry who are out there still doing cool stuff. All the people who used to do stuff and stepped away some time ago. And yes, those we've loved and lost along the way. Thank you for listening. As always, stay nerdy and be good to each other.